I hope Mr. Roopak is there.
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Okay. Mr. Roopak Khare is, as I have not prepared any introduction, but I know him since 4, 5, 6 years, and he was a famous radio jockey in Radio Mirchi. The best one I know as far as many other RJs, and he's a management student. He's also working as faculty in Institute of Higher Education, Institute of Excellence in Higher Education. So, so many other things which Rupak can also share. And I hand over to you, Rupak, and you can take the class to further dimensions.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, sir.
All right, so either you can put your mics on, or else you can even write it in the messages, right? Whenever you want to say. So this is one rule that we follow. Either you put your but then if you put your mics on, I won't understand kaun bol raha hai, kaun nahi bol raha hai, right? So it is better that you write it in messages. So a very hearty good evening to everybody, and thanks to Smriti ji, who's been.
Rupam, just want to tell you one thing that most our learners are from all over India, so
All right.
we can be more towards English side only.
Oh, definitely,
Not even
definitely.
you
We
can
can go
see that I'm not
automatically.
that good in English, but I'm trying.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I'm there. You can call me whenever you find any.
Oh, definitely, definitely, definitely. So, thank you so much. Yes, as Smriti ji said, I've been a radio jockey for quite some time, some 10, 11 years of my life. And then I've been teaching for almost 10 years now with the Institute of Excellence in Higher Education, which is in Bhopal. It's a government institute, plus a lot of guest lectures in other colleges. I have myself done my MBA from Indian Institute of Tourism and Travel Management in services marketing and tourism. And then I'm associated with a lot of organizations as a social activist, and then also a lot of work. We'll discuss it some other day. So as of now, I'm supposed to talk about communications, which is one of your subjects, right? And I'm sure you all have gone through your literature, the books that have been offered to you from IGNU. I'm sure you've gone through them and you've understood them. If there are any confusions, any doubts, any problems, you can always ask, right? Okay. So this session is for that. But then let us follow an order. If there is a question, you can either raise your hand, which is a feature over here, or else write it in the messages. Then and there, I'll answer it. Right. So I have in fact, I should say it's a long presentation. Let's begin it. Wherever you have a doubt, you can interrupt in between. Right? Should we begin then?
Yes,
Yo?
sir.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay. I'm sharing my screen. Do let me know if you're able to see it or not.
Visible, sir.
Is it visible? Okay. Now here's a presentation, right? Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. So certainly this is the number or identity of your course. We're talking about block 1 today, by and large. आपके इस subject में, in this subject, there are 4 units. In this block, there are four units. The unit 1 talks about basics of communication. What is it? What is the difference between general common communication and business communication? So I'll talk about that. Then we'll move on to unit 2, which is about process of communication, followed by unit 3, which has types of communication, oral and written. And then I'll be talking about forms of communication in unit 4 at workplace, which is, bifurcated into formal and informal, right? So let us begin with it now. Now, what is communication? हमारे हिसाब से communication क्या है? Communication in the simplest terms is exchange of information. And what is information? It could be any piece of knowledge, anything that we want to say, tell, or we know is information. Right? So whenever you exchange that information, a communication happens. I'm sure you know that, but then let us revise. So any kind of exchange of information, now it could be through words, it could be through expressions, it could be through your body language, it could be through say some colors, some light, some signboards, some music, just anything that conveys a message or there is an exchange of information happening, we will term it as communication. Simple. Cool. Now, whatever definition is given by various books, that certainly is right. That enhances the whole meaning of communication. But then, precisely, if you ask me, I would say it is simply the exchange of information. There are certain basic elements of communication, right? So, whenever communication is happening, it has certain parts. What is it? The first one, it has got to be a source. It has got to have a source, right? So the exchange of information, when it begins, it should begin from a source. So when I am speaking to you, or when I'm communicating with you, I am the source, right? I am speaking and I'm showing you my presentation. I'm showing you a screen. So I am the source over here, or my laptop, or the setting where I am speaking from is the source. Second is the message. So whenever there is a communication happening, there is, as we said, an exchange of information. This information is precisely the message, whatever we want to convey. Now, suppose if there is a painting, if you see a painting, every painting also conveys a message, right or wrong? Right? Every painting that you see also conveys a message. What kind of a message? There is something that the artist wants to say to you. The artist probably wants to convey the pain in his heart, or the romantic side of his personality, or memories, or the devotion that he or she has towards the Almighty. A message is conveyed to the painting. There could be n number of messages, right? That piece of information precisely is the message. Now, channel. How do you communicate? Are you communicating through telephone or mobile? Are you communicating through, say, a letter, or you're talking through, say, some sort of, what should I say? Say, video conference, right? There could be n number of ways through which you communicate. You could be speaking on a mic in a studio and people could be hearing you all across the city. Radio, even that is a channel, right? So there has to be a channel. जिसको हम media भी कह सकते हैं. We can even call it media. Then comes receiver, the one who is receiving the messages. So when it begins from me and there is a message being decoded and sent to you, there at the other end of this communication process, you are sitting there and you are receiving my messages. So you are the receiver in this communication, right? The one who's receiving the message. Now, in general, when there's a communication happening, it is a give and take communication. It is a two-sided communication. I speak, you understand, you give me a feedback, and then that's how it continues. But there are some places where only one-sided communication happens. Like, for example, at a traffic signal, right? When you're standing there, there is a pole which has three lights, green, red, and orange, or yellow. And then if you see green, you understand you have to move. If you see red, you understand you have to stop. So broadly, it is a one-way communication. But then I can even define it as a two-way communication. How? You start moving. But then there is no message conveyed to the pole or the people sitting on the other side. That's why we say it is a one-sided communication. So there is a source, there is a message, There are channels through which you convey your messages, and there is a receiver who's receiving it. Then there is environment, the place where we are conversing, right? Wherever the communication is happening is your environment. Now here, when I'm sitting in this room, I have my AC and the fan working, and they're making certain sound, which could sometimes be disturbing. This is called the environment, right? So if we're speaking, say, in an election rally, I am standing on the stage. I have thousands of people in front of me. I'm speaking on a mic. So I am the source. My speech is the message. The mic and the speakers are the channel. You, the people sitting in front of me, would be the receivers. And the environment is all the cacophony over there, all that sound that is there, the noise, right? Context. In what subject, in what reference are we talking? What is it that we're discussing? What are we talking about? Is the context. And interference. There could be some people, some sounds, some forces who would interfere in between and disturb our communication, right? So these are the basic elements of communication. Okay, a very, very precise look at how communication, the evolution of communication happened. So in the first picture, if you can see over here, there is a rock painting. There's a very beautiful place near Bhopal. It's called Bhimbetka. I don't know if your people have visited or not. It is a World Heritage Site, and it is thousands of years old. There are certain paintings which are even 50,000 years old over there. So this place called Bhimbetka has paintings made by early man, as we call it. People who would roam around in forest. They did not have homes. They would stay in caves or under trees, and they somehow made these paintings. They're thousands of years old. Even that is a communication. I can when I go and visit these rock shelters, I realize they wanted to say something. They wanted to convey certain messages, and these messages are about what they were doing, how their lifestyle was. And even today, after thousands of years, I can read those messages, right? Okay, now in the second picture, I hope you recognize this man. His name is Bear Grylls, and you see him on one of the TV channels. And in his show, he teaches you the art of survival in tough circumstances, usually natural, adverse circumstances. So here in this picture, he's showing you if you're trapped somewhere and you hear certain noises, say maybe a helicopter or an aeroplane. What you can do is you can burn something over there so that smoke rises from there, and the people who are in the aircraft or the helicopter can make out that there is somebody on the ground. Smoke is being used to communicate the message. Then there is somebody who's reading a letter in this painting, an old man. Then there is this lady, if you recognize her, she is a very popular actress of 90s. Her name is Bhagyashree, and she has a pigeon in her hand. And can you see a small letter? There were times when these letters were sent through pigeons. कबूतर के जरिए messages जाते थे. This is what has been conveyed here. There is another painting or clay art over here, which is called a seal. So some rectangular pieces of clay were made. When they were wet, they would carve certain pictures on them, which would convey certain messages. Harappan culture, again a few thousand years old. Then there is a telephone in its initial stage, in its initial mode. And then also, if you could see these scriptures, there were times in India when the scripts were written on tree bark. Sanskrit shlokas were written on tree bark, and you can still find them in certain parts of South India. So all these are various forms of communication. They have evolved through thousands of years. And today, when you sit in this era, you realize communication has changed altogether. In past 5-10 years, it has drastically changed. 10 years or say 15 years maybe, right? YouTube has become your probably the window towards the window for the world. Pinterest, LinkedIn, Instagram, WordPress, so many of them, Twitter, Facebook, Skype, Tumblr, Reddit, sab kuch, all these things. They are now the tools of communication. And how? Wow. So this was about communication, how the evolution happened. Now let us talk about what is the difference between business communication and general communication. So the point number one here is business communication deals with only business related information. When we're talking about business communication, no other information is being conveyed. It is only the business related information that is being talked about or communicated or shared. While in general communication, when you simply say communication, any kind of information can be shared. Two, business communication is almost always formal. I said almost. I did not say always. I said almost always formal, direct, and well organized. So if I have to, communicate with my boss or somebody else's boss in some other company, I will directly send an email. Now this email addresses that man, right? So it is direct and well organized. It has a format. I will write the person who's being addressed at the top. I would, write my salutations, dear sir, or respected madam, or whatever, and then followed by say subject, and then talking about whatever context I am referring to, and in the end, again, I would express my gratitude and say who am I. So this is the format, very organized format, right? Then general communication, obviously it is not very formal, right? Then comes personal feelings and emotions or opinions in business messages are very less. Let us not say no scope, though practically and ideally we say there is no scope for personal feelings or emotions, but then they creep in, and we'll discuss that sometime later in this presentation. But then they do creep in, it is a fact. But by and large, when we are doing a business communication, we prefer that our emotions and personal opinions should not influence the business communication. While in general communication, certainly these are at height. Then it always deals with practical information. Whatever is real information, whatever is of use, something that can bring a change, something that is pertinent and important, is being discussed here. While in general communication, it could be something which has nothing to do with the practical utility. It could simply be a communication, a fun communication, a joke, right? Or teasing somebody, or telling just stories, right? Then comes impartial and objective. Again, this is idealistic. When I say the communication has got to be impartial and objective, but then ideally, as I said, it should not be biased. It should not be inclined towards some party and doing injustice to somebody else. While general communications can be impartial, you could be backbiting about somebody, right? Acha. Then point number 7 says purpose of every message in business communication is to elicit certain action. Something has to happen. When you send a business communication, you expect something should happen. While in general communication, it is not necessary that something follows. Some action has to happen after it. It is just a piece of information, right? So personal communication need not be very responsive in nature. And finally, number 8, tables, chairs, graphs, photographs, sorry, chairs need charts. Tables, charts, graphs, photos, diagrams, these are frequently used in business communication so as to illustrate, so as to make a point, so as to tell something in detail. While these tables, charts, graphs, photos, they are missing. Where? In general communication. Usually, at times, you might even use that, but in general communication. So WhatsApp these days, you do find certain charts at times, but then it is always rare. And even if you do, people don't pay heeds to it. But in business communication, people got to check it, right? Okay. So these are different. These are the differences between business communication and general communication. Now, what is the purpose of business communication? Every communication which is related to a business Busyness means something that keeps you busy, something which is related to work. So a business communication is manipulative, right? It is well thought and designed. It is purposive. There is a reason, a target for it, and goal directed. You want to achieve something through it. And the measure of communication's effectiveness, how effective this communication was it successful or was it a failure, or was it somewhere in between, partly successful and partially unsuccessful? So to measure that, how effective this communication was, it depends on the extent to which the final goal is achieved. So as I said, there is a goal that we target when we are communicating in business communication. If that goal is achieved to the point, precisely, correctly, 100%, your goal is achieved. So your communication was perfect. But then if there is a problem in the final resultant, as in achieving the goal, it simply means there was some problem in the communication. Cool? Simple. Don't need to be worried about it. Purpose is there is a goal, there is a target. And if it is achieved, good. If it is not, there is a problem. Okay, now let us get interactive now. You there? You there? Hello? Are you there?
Yes.
And are you getting what I'm saying? समझ में आ रहा है? Yes? You're getting what I'm saying? You're understanding? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Rohit. Okay. So now you can turn your mics on and respond to it. Look at this picture in my on my screen. Look at this picture. Oh, sorry. Yes. This picture. It looks like a railway station to you. Yes. You can see railway tracks. Here there is a railway track.
Yes.
And this is some sort of a platform. And this is another platform. And there is this bag kept on the railway platform. So what would you do if you come across this? What will you do? If you look at this, you're on a railway platform and you see this bag lying there, unattended. What will you do?
It's a bomb alert.
Should call
Sorry?
to police or in.
Come again, say one by one. Yeah.
Excuse me, sir. I will inform to the authority, the
You
concerned
will
authority
inform
there.
it to the authorities. And why?
Uh, it should be, it can be harmful for the
It could be
peoples and
dangerous. Yes, yes. What is your name?
yes, sir.
What's your name?
Shubham, sir.
Shubham, right, Shubham? You're perfectly right. So this bag, which is unattended, which is lying on a railway platform, nobody is around it. We don't know who it belongs to. So this could be dangerous. In these times of terrorism, people are afraid. They feel this could have a bomb inside. This is the first thing that comes to your mind, right? Okay. Now there is a case study that we are doing now. Okay. Now this thing is written in Hindi, the topic, Lavaris Vastu. What would you do if you find some object with this with some LED lights, etc., lying somewhere on a road or a mall or a cinema hall that is unattended? If something of this sort is, something that is shown in this picture, that was a bag in the previous picture. Now here there is a circuit and there are some LED lights blinking. There are some wires over here. If you find this, definitely almost everybody will feel this is a bomb for sure. Either they will run away or they will, panic. And definitely they will inform. They're expected to inform the local police or the responsible authorities. This should happen, right?
Yeah, right.
There is something very interesting that happened. You're talking about communication, okay? Cartoon Network, it is a TV channel, once undertook a guerrilla marketing campaign that involved placing suspicious looking LED devices around Boston. Now, Boston is a place. Boston एक जगह का नाम है. Boston is a place where Cartoon Network marketing team, they planted some LED devices. So something that I showed you in this picture, similar things were kept at different places in Boston. By whom? By Cartoon Network. Why? To promote one of their TV shows. So Cartoon Network was bringing a TV show, a new show, and to promote it, they placed these objects in Boston at different places. When residents mistakenly believed the LED characters were actually bombs. So as per Cartoon Network, there were some characters in their animation movies. But then the people who saw them, they thought they were actually bombs. So this campaign did not help them raise the popularity of the show, but rather was the job of the Cartoon Network boss. So it actually adversely affected their image. It was Jim Samples who was the Cartoon Network head at that time. And he was taken, his case was taken by media and people and of course the authorities. So was it the right communication? Was it the right communication? Did it communicate what they really wanted to say? They wanted to
No,
talk
sir.
about their upcoming
Absolutely
show,
not.
and it created a havoc. Right? Agreed or not?
Agreed.
Agreed. Miscommunication. Case one. Okay, now look at these two pictures. What do you think of them? Anybody?
Highly unprofessional.
Highly unprofessional? Okay. Who was that? Tell me your name.
Akhil Kaushik.
Akhil. Okay, Akhil. You're right. It looks unprofessional though. Yeah. So now we are in a country where this is called unprofessional or indecent, ill-mannered. Yes, keeping your legs on table. Now, in fact, I belong to a community where if you have some papers and pen and stationary things lying on a table where you're working, it is not only against your manners and etiquettes, it is also against, the Almighty, because we consider even books, stationery, pens, and paper as a gift of God, a representation of the Almighty. So, precisely, all this, in every sense, is not right. Chalo, now let us see, let us have a look at one of the case studies now. Case 2. An American phone company wanted to promote its services to the United Arab Emirates, UAE. They wanted to promote their product, some company from USA, right? Now, the visual of the poster they created showed a businessman holding his phone. So these posters were put across UAE on big hoardings, and these pictures had businessmen holding their phones in their hands, sitting at their desk, and their feet were on the table, while the soles of their shoes were well inside. So similar pictures were being posted. These were put on hoardings all across UAE. Then what happened? The problem is that shoes are considered in Islam as unsuitable objects. So, like what I believe, Islam also believes that shoes should not be shown to people. It is indecent. Therefore, totally degraded the brand image of this company. So in UAE, their idea was to promote their brand as cool and informal and something that adds fun to your work and workplace. It was taken in a very negative way. Again, miscommunication. What you really wanted to convey is not being communicated. Another case. Okay, there is an example. Why am I saying so? So here on screen, you can see one of the very popular and obviously very able presidents of one of the presidents of America. Now he was very popular, but then there are certain photographs of him where you can see he has also kept his feet on the desk. But in their culture, it is not taken as negative. Right? So here these pictures were deliberately released by the office of the president. Why? Because they wanted to create an image of the president as a person, as a boss who was cool, who was carefree, who did not take stress. But in some other country, this meant altogether different. Here, the next one now. Okay, now somebody tell me, there are three pictures here, right? In the first one, you can see some cans, white and black. Three cans. What do you think these cans contain? because the language written on top of it is not, I can't comprehend what it means. So can somebody tell me what should be there in these cans? What could be there in these cans?
Fruit juice.
A fruit juice. And who's that? Can you please tell me your name?
And this is Dimpy.
Dimpy.
Yes.
Okay, Dimpy. Yes, I also believe this should have fruit juice. But why do you think so?
Because of the fruits
Because
design.
of the fruits being printed on the outer side of it. Okay, okay. Somebody else, tell me what could be there in this brown packet.
So cookies
Cookies. And who's that?
for Bridge party.
Sorry,
Bridge. Yeah, right. Yes.
I'm not able to understand. Uh, Mr. Tripathi, right?
Yeah. Anand
Okay,
or
okay. I'm
Tripathi,
sorry I
anyone, sir.
didn't get your name. The audio
No,
is
it's
not
okay. I'm
very clear.
actually on the way. That's why.
Okay, okay, that's okay. But then you're right. So since there is a cookie being shown on the packet, it appears that this should contain some cookies. Fine. Now there is a third set of packets, the floral ones. And can somebody else guess what it contains? Anybody?
This can be a
It can be
gift pack.
anything.
Sorry?
Yeah.
It can be
This
anything
can
like
be
groceries or anything.
Groceries and the other guy who's speaking.
this can be a gift pack having a different kind of objects or
What kind
things.
of objects? What do you think is
It's
inside?
like a pack of cookies, fruits. The
A pack
juice
of
or something.
coffee beans or tea.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Maybe
To me,
crop.
it appears it could probably have, say, something which has something which is delicate either, or it could even be some kind of a fragrance. So some perfume, maybe, maybe some potpourri, those dried flower petals you have, something, or something organic, maybe. Yeah.
So this can be a surprise for a person.
Maybe. So my question to okay, so do we all agree? जो अभी whatever we've discussed till now, we have guessed till now inside the can and the packet and these small bags. Most of us agree. Do we?
Yes.
Okay. Case 3. So there was this American baby food brand, Gerber. It was launched in African market. Now they packaged their products as in the way they did in United States. So when they were working in United States, they had a certain kind of a packaging. Now when they launched their product in African countries, there also they used the same packets, the same packaging. Now it contained baby food, but then the packet contained pictures of beautiful babies on the boxes. What they did not know was that at that time in Africa, a label generally illustrated what it contained. To be explicit, to many people who could not read, guess what consumers had the feeling to buy. This was the packet. So these packets, when this American company launched in Africa, people thought these packets have babies in them, or maybe something which could be disgusting. Yeah. Obviously, the product nosedived in Africa. It did not work. It failed badly. Bad communication? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So through all these cases, what I really wanted to say that, see, the message that you're conveying is important, and when and where you're conveying is important again. If there is a message which is wrong, it is conveyed at right time, it is a mistake. Time could be right. You're launching a product, but then the message is wrong. Yeah, or if you refer to something in a day-to-day life, um, uh, so there is okay. So you get into a relationship, right? And somebody is about to get married. And at that time, you start discussing one of your previous relationships. So they say, okay, you should convey the reality of your life. But is that the right time when you're getting engaged and you're telling the other person that I've had certain number of relationships? Wrong message at right time. Mistake? Yeah. Okay, wrong message at wrong time. Even the time is wrong. So somebody is suffering a heart attack and you tell him something even bad. Wrong message, wrong time. Disaster. That somebody will die. Right message at wrong time. Message is right, but at wrong time. So somebody who's failed in a subject and you want to tell that person, beta, you need to focus on your English also because your handwriting is bad. So as it is, that person is not happy, you're telling him something more negative. Right message, but wrong time. The person will resist. What is the right combination? The message should be right and the timing has got to be right again. It will be successful. Easy, simple, conveyed. Let's move on. Another case. I hope you recognize these celebrities and known people. Up there is Mr. Shatrughan Sinha, and he, in one of the parties, in one of the events, was talking about Rani Mukherjee and Aditya Chopra. So these two of them, Aditya and Rani, were not married at that time, and there were rumors of if they were, But then Mr. Sinha talked about their relationship and addressed her as Chopra. So all over the magazines, all over the media, everywhere there were discussions, there were people talking about their relationship. So a wrong platform, wrong time chosen, and a wrong message was also conveyed. Who were you to disclose this, right? Do we recognize this woman, this lady over here? Anybody? Anybody who knows her? Okay, she's a celebrity from West Hollywood. Paris Hilton, very well known. This is case number 5. In 2010, she was arrested for cocaine possession, and the evidence was in her Chanel purse. Now, Chanel is a brand, and she was carrying a purse, and in that purse there was some narcotic drug. Now, when she was caught and the police and the authorities were asking her, interrogating her, she said those things did not belong to her. Even the purse was not hers. However, she had forgotten that the purse was the first thing she tweeted about that very same morning. So when she was leaving from home, she had posted a picture on Twitter of that same purse and that she was carrying it. But to the authorities, she said it wasn't her. Making that possession very easy to crack. Paris Hilton. In our scriptures, so I don't know if you people have seen Mahabharat on television or have you read Mahabharat at all, because obviously what they show on television is only a part of it. Some of it is twisted and scripted as per the televised interests of the presenters and the viewers. But then Mahabharat, still, if you've seen, you have some idea about it. And if you've read it, I am sure you would have a better idea. Now, can anybody tell me how did Dronacharya die in Mahabharat? Anybody who has any idea?
Sir, he gave up his arms when a wrong message was conveyed, false message basically conveyed about the death of his son.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. What is your name?
Lakshay Sharma, sir.
Sorry?
Lakshay Sharma.
Lakshya, very good, Lakshya, very good. And I feel bad these days that youngsters do not know much about our scriptures and our history. But lovely that you know it. Thank you. So yes, you're absolutely correct, Lakshya. Dronacharya was the teacher who had taught the Pandavas and Kauravas the art of you know, war and so many other things. So Dronacharya's son's name was Ashwathama, and there was this elephant in that battle of Kurukshetra. It was also named Ashwathama. Bhim killed Ashwathama, the elephant, and Sri Krishna told Yudhishthir that if somebody asks you whether Ashwathama died or not, say yes. So now Dronacharya, when he heard this news of Ashwathama dying, he got panicked, he got worried. Now there was nobody he could confirm it with. He knew Yudhishthir will never lie, because Yudhishthir, as a principal, never lied in his life. So Dronacharya goes to Yudhishthir and he would ask him, has Ashwathama died? Yudhishthir says, yes. And then he adds, not the man, but the elephant. So he would speak the complete truth. And Krishna knew, Shri Krishna was aware that he is going to say the truth. So as soon as he said yes, he blew the conch, shankh bajaya unhone. So Dronacharya could not hear the latter part of the statement. And he got panicked and he got saddened, Dronacharya. And he left his bow and arrow and sat on his feet. And that's when he was killed. Because that was the only way he could be terminated, right? So yeah, again, communication. Yeah, half truth. Since we're talking about business communication, there is this very popular advertisement, and I do appreciate the concept of the advertisement. I don't know if you people have seen this advertisement on screen or not, whether on YouTube or any other medium or on television. It's a very interesting and very interesting advertisement. Now here, the concept is that there is a woman who's getting married for the second time. She's probably a widow or a divorcee, and she has a daughter, and she's getting married. Now there is a taboo in our society, in almost all the communities and religions. Women who are either divorced or say widows, they are not being accepted that easily for the second marriage. So breaking all those taboos, this advertisement showed the marriage of a lady. She's getting married for the second time. Now in this advertisement, the daughter of this lady is standing just beside the mandap, right? And she's witnessing this this whole process. But then she's getting, restless also. So the groom, Dulha, the groom, as soon as he notices this, he takes the baby in his lap. He would carry her in his arms and then take the peras. Right? Now, this is a very beautiful advertisement and it conveys a good message also. But then something that they did not realize was that people going around the fire, taking the parikramas around the fire, is a religious act. It's a practice which has certain connotations, certain denotations, right? Now, if you go around with somebody, go around the fire with somebody, you're considered married. And hence, this advertisement was not taken in a very positive way. Right? So, the culture that you're working in, it is important, especially when there is a business communication happening, it is important that you understand the ethnicity, the traditions, the beliefs of the people over there, and then present your messages. Again, there's another message, which has mixed two ideas and is not taken very beautifully. So there are 7 C's of effective communication. A lot of cases that we have done, and we have understood a lot of things out of this. Let me now, precisely tell them and sum them up in, say, a few points. So if somebody says, what are the elements of communication? what are the basic points of communication, you can count these 7 pointers. Now, what are these 7 pointers? 1, clarity. 2, correctness. 3, conciseness. 4, courtesy. 5, concreteness. 6, consideration. 7, completeness. Let us understand them in a bit of detail. Number 1, clarity. Whatever message you want to convey, it should be very clear, easy to understand. People should not, be needed to think a lot and then draw logics and then understand something out of it. It should be clear, easily understandable. The clarity of thoughts and ideas, and the clarity of language or the medium, use of simple, appropriate and precise words, for example. Clarity, number 1. Number 2, correctness. It should be right. Use of right language, use of right grammar, the data should be correct. So suppose if you're giving a presentation somewhere, so you have certain data to be presented. Now your data should be checked and rechecked twice before you actually present, so that the statistics, the numbers, the facts that you're sharing should be absolutely correct. Nobody should be able to point fingers to it. It should be timely, exact, and correct. This will boost confidence in the people who are witnessing at the other end, the receivers, right? And it will have a great impact on the audience. Trust will build up, your image will get boosted, and obviously the communication goes right. Number 3, concise. It should be short, small, very detailed. Very elongated messages are always boring. You know what? I find you people very lucky that you're doing your course from IGNOU. Why? Trust me, I've read a lot of books and a lot of academic books as well. And most of these books have lengthy descriptions of every topic. But with IGNOU, I always find the topics are being explained in a very easy, very comprehensible language. At the same time, it is very concise. The elaboration is not required at times, too much of elaboration. So that it can save time, it should not confuse people. Excessive usage of unnecessary words should be avoided. It should be short and limited. It should appeal. It should be comprehensible and non-repeatable. Number 4, courtesy. Whenever you're communicating with anybody, respect, politeness, judicious behavior is very important. And take my words, whether the person you're communicating with is older than you, is of the same age group, or even when these people are younger than you, or maybe in terms of position, they could be at a higher pedestal, at a higher position or level. They could be people of the same level in hierarchy, or they could be your juniors. Whomever you're communicating with, please be respectful. Please be polite. Please be just in your behavior. Fair in your behavior. You should be able to understand their feelings when you speak or you communicate. You should be positive and focused. And there should be no bias in your communication. Trust me. See, obviously we're talking about business communication over here, but then trust me, these rules apply to any communication. And it will improve your communication like how? People will become your fans when you do this. All these pointers. Number 5, concreteness. It should be specific, meaningful. There should be no ambiguity, no double meaning. Facts and figures should be there. Clear and precise. No misinterpretation should happen. So when you explain it, it should be explained in a way that that people cannot misinterpret it. They should not draw some other meaning out of it. Whatever you want to say should be conveyed as it is, concrete. Number 6, consideration in terms of views, in terms of culture, in terms of mindset, in terms of values. And then stress on you approach. I will be detailing on this approach sometime later in our presentations in these 3-4 days. But then you approach is again very important. When you're talking to somebody, you should give importance to the other person and not yourself. I'm sure all of us know some people, when you communicate with them, they are always talking about themselves or their families. I have a car, I have a home, I have this, I have that. They keep on talking about themselves. I'm so smart, I have this thing and that thing. The right way to communicate is to focus on the other person. You should be empathetic. And what does that mean? There are two ways that you emotionally connect to people: sympathy and empathy. Sympathy is having soft feelings for somebody who's in trouble. Empathy is understanding and feeling their pain. So be empathetic. Try and understand their feelings, their problems, their pains, and be optimistic. You should always be, looking positive. The word for optimistic in Hindi is ashavadi, right? And number 7 is completeness. Whatever you say should not be incomplete. It should convey the complete meaning. There should be nothing left to deduce. Should be understood completely. That will not only help you build reputation of yourself and your organization, it will also save cost, it will save time, it will remove the barriers of information communication, and better decisions would be made. Very, very important. Be complete in your communication. So these are called 7 C's. 7 C's of effective communication: clarity, correctness, concise, courtesy, concrete, consideration, and completeness. Right? So this was unit 1. Unit 1. Any doubts, anything that you would want to ask or say about unit 1? Anybody? Am I able to make a point over here? मजा आ रहा है? समझ में आ रहा है?
Yeah, sir. It is
Yeah?
clear.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, it is clear.
So let us move on to unit 2 now. Unit 2 is about process of communication, and these processes are of two ways: one-sided or two-sided, right? The one-sided communication is called linear communication. It is one-sided, and it is happening in one single direction. So there is a sender, he or she is sending a message through one media. Sender, message, एक मीडिया से one media, the message is sent to the receiver, and there is an action taken. So it is a one-sided, one-lined, one unidirectional communication. It is called linear communication. Cool. The other one is a Shannon-Weaver model of communication, which is unidirectional, which is linear. So there is a sender, encoding happens, the message is being encoded. Now, what is encoding? What is encoding? So suppose if I want to say something to you. Now, what I want to say is in my mind or in my heart. If I want to say that I'm afraid of you, it's in my mind or in my heart, the emotions. If I want to say that I love you, it's in my heart for you, right? Now, these emotions have to be expressed. How do you express? You use a language to say that. I am afraid of you. I have used the English language to say or express what I had in my mind about you. I'm afraid of you. So I am the sender. The message that I have encoded it into a language. Now the message goes through a channel, say a mobile phone network. It reaches you. You're the receiver. Now, when you get this message, I am afraid of you. Now you will be decoding it. Your brain will do that. Now, as a matter of fact, the smartest machine under the sun on this earth is this human body. Something that the Almighty Bhagwan has created. It is marvelous. Now, you don't even realize when you receive this message, you decode it. Whatever words in whichever language you've received, you will try to analyze and understand them. This is called decoding. And then you understand it. And then there is a feedback that you send. And then there are some things that create disturbance. Now, this model is called the Shannon-Weaver model of communication. This is two-way, in fact. But then, when we talk about the Shannon-Weaver model of communication, the original one, there the feedback part was not given by Shannon-Weaver initially. Then later on, it was worked upon. But today, if you present a communication model, this is the model along with the feedback. Now, what is two-way communication? When there is a sender sending a message received by the receiver, and the receiver sends a feedback or another message to the sender. दो तरफ से हो रहा है. Two-sided communication is a two-way communication process. Now, in this communication process, there are certain barriers to it. There are some problem creators. Now, what are these problem creators? These are called barriers. What is a barrier? I'm sure you've all come across some sort of a barrier when you're driving on road. You're driving and there is a pole in between. I don't know if you've traveled on highways and you have come across this this pole at the toll booths where you're stopped and then you pay certain toll fee and then the barrier goes up and you move in. A lot of colonies these days have these barriers. That is called a barrier. Something that creates a hindrance is called a barrier. So when in communication there's something that's creating a hindrance or a problem, you name it barrier. So there are various kinds of barriers: intrapersonal barriers, interpersonal barriers, and organizational barriers. Let us now understand these. But before that, we'll be taking some cases. Now, I hope you people are not asleep yet. Can somebody give me an Indian name to this child? Please give me a name for this child. Can somebody do that? Give me a name. Turn your mics on and give me a name.
Akshay.
Sorry?
Akshay.
No, is that your name?
No, baby name, child name.
So what did you say? Akshar.
Akshay. Akshar. You can take Akshar.
Okay. Anybody else?
Sulakshana.
Sulakshana. Okay, beautiful name. Anybody else? Who else? Please give me a nice name for this child. Sorry?
Kangana.
Kangana. She has these noodle-like hair, just like Kangana Ranaut. So yeah, Kangana. Who else?
Maya.
Maya. Okay, lovely. And?
Malishka.
Malishka. Okay, yeah. Malishka was a popular RJ with us, yeah.
Meera.
Meera. Okay, nice names. Anybody else who wants to try?
Pratiksha.
Sorry?
Pratiksha.
Pratiksha. Pratiksha is a nice name, yeah. Achha, by the way, anybody who has children? Somebody who's married and has children?
Yes.
Yeah? And
Yes.
you've named your child the same?
Yes.
Yes? Oh, that's cool. I have two kids, Abhisht and Anhar. Anyway, so All these names, lovely names that we've received, are all girl names. Did you realize that? Everybody has given female names. Have we? Yes.
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 It supplied only female names. Interestingly, this child is a boy. His name is Farooq James. He's a 7-year-old boy from London who has become an Instagram sensation. Now, this boy has long hair, and these hair created a lot of problems for this child. The school that he was studying in sent him out. They said either cut your hair or you cannot study in this school. But then, since this boy was getting popular on Instagram, this child's mother did everything, even taking him out of the school, but she did not cut the hair. This boy is already earning millions. Now he's a model and he's famous because of his long hair. That's a boy. Yeah. Now this kind of barriers, you're preoccupied because this child had long hair or certain features. We thought it was a girl child. Yeah. So we are preoccupied. We had certain notions about certain people. If a lady is wearing sari, almost everybody will say she's regressive, backward hogi. She's not modern. Yeah, this is how we consider, this is how we stereotype people. That's all intrapersonal barrier. How is it intrapersonal? Have you heard of inter-school competitions? When you were in school, there were inter-school competitions, international relationships. So when we say international or inter-school, we are referring to two different countries or two different schools. Something happening between them is international or inter-school. But something happening within a group, within a body, is called intra. So intrapersonal means something which is within a person. So intrapersonal barriers are those which lie within our mind, our belief system, our values, the way we perceive people, the way we judge them. These are all interpersonal barriers. Look at this picture over here. There are certain number of people standing over here, and there is something lying on the floor, this in blue color. Can you see that? Indigo color. Right? There is a figure lying on the floor. Now, the first person is thinking that this is number 8, the digit 8. The second person is now, what he really makes out of it is the word 8 out of it, EIGHT. There is somebody else in green who, when looks at this figure, thinks of the sign of infinity. We've all seen that in mathematics. The sign of infinity. It looks like this. For another person, it could be a wave. There's somebody in purple who thinks it's a pretzel. What is a pretzel? It is a kind of a bread in Israel or somewhere. They made a bread of this shape. And somebody who's coming from a science background would probably think that this is a sign of DNA. Everybody interprets things in his or her own way. And that is because of the perception that we have, perceptual set defined, which lies within our minds, our hearts, intrapersonal. So when we talk about barriers to communication, there are various types of communication barriers. Here, physical environmental barriers, which are caused by time. So when I'm speaking from here, if there is a time lag on TV, have you ever seen? There are news channels, people are discussing at different places. One person speaks, the other person responds after 1 or 2 seconds. Time lapse. Or if you're speaking to somebody sitting in USA, here it is evening, there it would be morning. वो उठा नहीं होगा शायद सोकर, not even gotten up, gotten awake. Time barrier. Place. Two people standing at a distance, not able to hear each other properly. Place. Or standing in, say, some old part of Bhopal. Lot of noise everywhere. Space. What kind of a space it is? Yeah. So probably if you're sitting in a studio where sound absorption, what do you call them? The acoustics are very good. Then if you say something very softly, you might not even be heard. Space. What kind of a space you are in? Climate. It is rainy season as of now, right? When it rains, there is this thunder all over, and the showers also make so much of noise, and then the cars passing by, they make a lot of sound. So you're not able to hear each other. Noise. So in a barat, a wedding procession, when the groom is going towards the bride's place, there is a lot of noise. Drums are being blown, and then there are other instruments, and these days you have DJs. So if you're talking to each other in a barat, in a procession, marital procession, you might not even understand what you're saying. People just smile at each other. Yeah, got it. Or they use body language to say that. Oh, your sari is so good. Yeah. Why? Noise. You can't communicate. So you will raise your brows and widen your eyes to say that. Choice of medium. Probably have chosen wrong medium to communicate. Physical barriers, physical environmental barriers. Second one, barriers caused by wrong choice of medium. Here also the medium. So something that should be conveyed through a video is being said on phone. You know what? A lot of confusions are created because we at times, instead of calling or meeting someone, send a message. Written words can be judged as per the receiver, his understanding, his education, his perception towards the other person and its society in general, his circumstances that person is going through. Written words can be misguiding a lot of times. So if you choose the wrong medium, yeah. Semantic barriers, linguistic barriers related to language, cultural barriers. We've seen so many examples abhi thodi der pehle. Psychological barriers, attitudinal barriers. The mood might differ. People who are speaking, they could be in different moods. Attitude could be different towards society or life. Barriers caused by varying perception of reality. How we judge the reality, it could differ. Yeah, or probably the levels of understanding and comprehension could differ. Yes, so there are a lot of barriers. What are these semantic barriers? All those barriers that are related to language are called semantic barriers. Words with different meanings, right? So there could be one word which could have 2-3 different meanings. Bark, B-A-R-K, bark. Can you tell me 2-3 meanings of this word bark? Can anybody tell me? Bark, B-A-R-K, bark. Are we
Bark
there?
of a trees,
Bark of a tree, the outer layer of a tree.
layer of the tree,
Yes,
yes.
yes. And what else? Give me another meaning.
The dog barks.
The dog's bark. Correct. Absolutely. What's your name?
Parumita Shaha.
Parul.
Parumita from Kolkata.
Parunita from Kolkata. Oh. Oh, you people speak so softly and so sweetly.
Not like that, sir.
Parunita, thank you so much. Faulty translations. So something is being said and it is being translated wrongly. Yeah. Unclarified assumptions. At times, we assume what is being said. Why? We have some preconceived notions about people. ये तो उल्टा ही बोल रहा होगा. I'm sure this person is speaking against me. So I assume. We were in a barat, we were in a marital procession, and I could not hear what that person was saying, but I am sure he was bitching about me. Something bad about me. Yes? Denotations and connotations. There are certain words which could have various meanings, and these meanings are expressed uh, through the circumstances, through the voice tone, pitch, through the context. So if those things are not there, and obviously how the other person is interpreting them, the meanings would change. Technical jargons. Every industry has certain words which are specific to those industries. So people who are from outside, they don't understand. So when I was introducing myself, I told you I work with a lot of organizations, social organizations also. There are over 37, 38 organizations that I work with. Now, if you go to social sector, you work with NGOs, you will realize they have a lot of words. There was a program today only here in Bhopal, and our chief minister, our beloved chief minister, was there, and we have kick-started the campaign of having a flag at every doorstep, or every door, every house should have a flag. Har Ghar Tiranga campaign by Modi ji. So it was ushered in here in Bhopal today. So CM was present in that program. I was also there. So now there, SHG. Anyone who knows what's the full form of this word? SHG. People coming from social background. Are you aware? SHG.
Self-help groups.
Very good. What's your name?
Lakshay, sir.
Lakshya. Yeah, Lakshya. Once again. So SHG. But most of us did not know. It is a jargon. And I appreciate my chief minister Madhya Pradesh. Everybody was talking about it as SHG only. But he was one man, when he was speaking from the stage, he did not say SHG, but he said the complete full form. Self-help group ladies have prepared these flags, and let us buy them. It is our pride, our token of respect towards our country, and respect towards these women who are making it. Yeah, technical jargon, bad expression. So you probably are not being said correctly, not being pronounced correctly, not being spelt correctly. These are all language related issues. They create barriers in communication. Organizational barriers. Now, in an organization, again, there was a lot of police in this program today where I was present. So there is this top-notch official, and then his subordinates, and then another set of subordinates, and then the lowest level of policemen who were standing over there. One message to be conveyed, the top-notch officer did not say it to the constable, but he would rather say to the people just immediately under him. Then that person will convey it to his immediate subordinates, and then that would be conveyed to the junior most people. 4 layers. Have you ever played this game called telephone?
Excuse me, sir. Sorry to interrupt you in between, but I need to inform Parumita, like her camera is on.
Okay,
Maybe.
Parvita, you could probably keep
Thank
your
you.
camera off.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
That at times is disturbing to other people. Cool. So, yeah, too many transfers. If you've played this game of telephone, in this game, there is one message being given from one end. The same message is being transferred from one person to another, but then it is being whispered in the ears. You don't say it openly. One person whispers it in other person's ears, and 1, 2, 3, 4. By the time it reaches the last person, the core message that was being started from one point, the initial point, gets changed or tampered. Why? Because there are a lot of layers in transfer. So too many transfers happening, yes, it could change. Fear of superiors. People are afraid of their superiors. They don't ask what's wrong or what is being said, or they judge them because of the fear. Negative tendencies. There are people who are just not interested in listening to other people. I know it all. Oh, come on. So when we were in school, all of us, I remember, especially these were the days, August and September, a lot of programs used to happen in school. And on every occasion, the principal will speak on stage and we will make fun, standing in queues or sitting on the chairs. All of us would make fun. Why? There was a negative tendency somewhere, and it was obviously something which is innate, which is natural when you're young and in school you're a kid and a child. So it happens obviously. Just a second. Use of inappropriate media, right? Media is not being used, right? So if I have to speak to my colleague in my section itself, do I really need to send an email? Yes, of course, if it is a formal piece of information that needs being documented, that should go through email. But if I need a file, would I send a WhatsApp message? No, I would say, yaar, please pick that file up, pass on that file. Right media has to be used. Information overloaded, too much of information given in a small nutshell. Okay, let us now again take some cases. So there is a cigarette that you can see on screen. It is injurious to health. Did you know smoking is good for the environment because it kills human beings? Do you agree? How many of us agree? Anybody who agrees? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
You agree?
Yeah, I agree, sir.
No, not at all.
What's your name?
My name?
Yeah,
My name is Akhil Kaushik.
Akhil.
Yeah.
So you're in doubt whether you agree or not.
No, not at all. I mean, this is not right.
It's not right.
Because human being is also part of environment. So we need to save human being also.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So Philip Morris, it is a multinational tobacco company, Philip Morris. So if very unfortunately there is somebody among us who smokes, please leave that. It's not good for your health. Please leave it. But then that person would be aware of what Philip Morris is. So Philip Morris is a multinational company that produces cigarettes and other stuff which is made of tobacco. And they are working in 180 countries, right? So Philip Morris says smoking deaths are good. Deaths caused by smoking, due to smoking, are good. In 1999, Philip Morris commissioned a study on the economic effects of smoking in Czech Republic and came up with a surprising conclusion. So in 1999, they did a study in Czech Republic, or at the end of it, they released a report, a conclusion out of it. What was it? The company argued that premature deaths due to smoking were, on balance, a positive thing because the government saved money on healthcare and pensions. So, in a country like India, where the population is much higher than that can be, actually be managed, it's okay if people die of cancer, people die of smoking. Is it? No. Every life matters. We need to control our population. Agreed. But killing people to control population, could that be a way out? Of course not. then terrorism would be justified in that way. Taking guns and bombs and killing people. Reducing population, so good. Of course not. Needless to say, millions of people were strongly offended by the crassness of their study. Yeah? Domino's Pizza in 2009. 12th of April 2009, two Domino's employees, North Carolina, they uploaded a video on YouTube. In this footage, both these people who were employees of Domino, they used some cheese pieces or some other stuff that they used to make pizzas. They were inserting it in their noses and then they used it on a pizza. It was a spoof, but it caused a lot of damage to Domino's. Even today, if you go on internet and search for it, Domino's Pizza Crisis, you will get the details of this this disaster. What you think is a joke may not be a joke for a lot of people, and it can create a lot of trouble for your brand, your company, your product, your image. Coca-Cola decided to launch a campaign to keep up with Pepsi. Now, Coca-Cola and Pepsi are, great rivals all across the world. A new rival at the time. So, interestingly, I don't know if you people are aware or not, Pepsi was much late in the scene as compared to Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola has always been a brand and a very big brand than Pepsi. Pepsi came much later. And Pepsi was much more popular in India, though, but worldwide, Coca-Cola was the market leader. So when Pepsi was introduced, Coca-Cola declared they were launching a new Coke brand. So since new product was coming in market as in form of Pepsi, Coke people thought that they should also reintroduce their product. So they changed the branding, they changed the packaging, so as to look fresh and better and more young. But unfortunately, customers did not want a new brand of Coke. People liked Coke. They did not want a new Coke. And they began hoarding the existing beverages. So wherever the old Coke was available, they would buy it in bulk and keep it. Ye to acha hua, this was good. People were buying Coke. What was bad was that they did not want to buy the new one. Then what did the company do? The company quickly backpedaled and brought back original Coke. They said, okay, we're bringing back the earlier one and not the new one. This all caused a lot of damage to the brand and obviously the company. Also in terms of finances, certainly. BP, oil spill in Gulf of Mexico. I'm sure you must have heard about this. So there was this company, they dealt with oil and their ship, it bursted in the sea, the ocean, and the oil was spread all over. A lot of sea, ocean life was disturbed. A lot of beings were killed underwater. And it caused a lot of damage worldwide. So now when BP caused the legendary oil spill, it stretched all over the Gulf of Mexico in 2010. So they had a PR agency, the BP company. They had a PR strategy which included airing a number of expensive commercials. They made a lot of advertisements and they aired them all over the television, all over the world, apologizing at very chance they got. So in all these advertisements, they were apologizing. They were saying, sorry, we did this, sorry, we did this, sorry, we did this. But then public did not find it good. Ultimately, they received criticism from President Obama also. Obama was the president at that time, who said the money they put into the ads should have been put into cleaning up the mess. So you were spending millions of dollars on saying sorry to people. Instead, you could have used that money to clean that oil from the sea or reduce the damage. Tony Hayward of BP also made another comment. Tony Hayward, he was one of the officials of the company. So he was in a press conference and he said something over there. What did he say? He was being, bombarded with a lot of questions in that press conference. So Tony said he wanted his life back. I want my life back. This is what he said. And again, it was not taken in a very positive way. Because people out there, they said, okay, fine, you've killed so many, animals, and the people who were killed in that accident when the blast took place, they lost their lives, their families were disturbed. All that has happened, and you are talking about your own life. You want to be relaxed. This is so inhuman, so senseless, so insensitive. So 2 damages. So this was all about Unit 2. I hope you've understood, you've gotten. Getting on to Unit 3 now. Types of communication. So there are 2 major types of communications, verbal and non-verbal. Anything to do with words is verbal and not with words is non-verbal. Easy? Very interestingly, when you meet somebody, 1/10 of a second, 1 second के 10वें हिस्से में, 1/10 of a second, you create an impression. 1 second nahi, 1/10 of a second. You create an impression about that person. And within 4 seconds, you make a crucial judgment about that person. This is what psychology and studies say. So when you meet somebody, how fast your brain works. And not only brain, your eyes are working, your ears are working, you're smelling through your nose, you're sensing, you're getting vibes from that person. And all that is helping you make an impression. Within 1/10 of a second, you start making impressions about people. How does that happen? Opinions are formed based on appearance, demeanor, mannerisms, and dress up. How does the person appear? Is he bald? Has he got long hair? He or she? What kind of clothes that person is wearing? How does he walk? How does he talk? What is his tone? What are his mannerisms? Everything. And trust me, it is nearly impossible to reverse or undo this and set the tone for the relationship that follows. So when somebody makes an impression about a person, the first impression, it usually continues lifelong. Or even if you're talking about that particular meeting, once that impression is formed, that guides that whole meeting. The other person on the other end will interact, will react, keeping that impression in mind. This is called body language or non-verbal communication. There is a very famous song sung by late Jagjit Singh Sahab, which says, "बहुत पहले से हम इन कदमों की आहट जान लेते हैं." For all those people who understand Hindi and Urdu will appreciate this ghazal. But then I've used this line to convey how important the non-verbal communication is. So when you communicate 83% by sight, by seeing 83%, hearing 11%, smell 3%, touch 2%, taste only 1%, and 66% of it is non-verbal. So when you see something, there are words also in it. So I'm considering that written words are also verbal. So if you consider it that way, in totality, the percentage would be 66% is non-verbal. Only 44% is verbal communication. Yeah. Said or unsaid. Rodney Overton believes, who's a communicationalist, who believes that about 55% of communicators' message is understood non-verbally. He also writes that 7% of the message is understood through what is said, verbal, and 38% of the success of communication depends on way it is said. Yeah. Same thing, different statistics put in a slightly different way. But then the importance of non-verbal communication is underlined over here. Now, what are the various types of non-verbal communication? Written, speech, and kinesics. We'll get into the details of these now. Written communication, what is it? Now, written, see, there are some experts who would say written communication is always in verbal communication. It comes under verbal communication. Why? Since it uses words. And there are others who would say verbal is something which is spoken from mouth, but written should come under non-verbal communication. So whatever it is, but then written communication, as per our syllabus, it is under verbal communication, right? So written communication, what does it convey? What kind of information it conveys apart from words? Handwriting conveys a lot. Somebody who's leaving a lot of space in between is clumsy. Somebody who's writing very, very small alphabets is probably miser. Somebody who has a lot of oval shapes and rounds in his writing is a complex being. This is how handwriting experts judge people. Layout. What kind of a font? What is the size of the alphabets? What is the style in which it is written? The order of words and alphabets, everything. Layout. Don't you judge a letter? So can you see the screen now? If you see that screen, there is a letter in the backdrop. Now, is that letter a formal letter? Of course not. The layout tells a lot. Formal letters are written in a different way. Government letters will be written in an even different way. Love letters or affectionate letters will be written differently. Everything has a different layout. Pictures and diagrams convey a lot. Tables as in you have these columns and rows and putting information under them. Tables, they convey a lot of information. Colors convey a lot of information. So in a lot of documents, it is written, when you fill forms, it is mentioned, use only blue or black pen. When corrections are being done in universities, green pens are being used at times. Red pens are used for some other types of corrections. Colors. Red, yellow, green, the traffic signals. Yeah. In fact, when it comes to colors, I'm sure you people have observed that the kind of colors we wear on different occasions also mean a lot. In West, in Europe and America, even in Japan and certain countries, when people die, there is a death that has happened, and there are people who are attending the funeral. They would wear black. In certain regions, people wear whites. In certain religions and certain places, people wear black in weddings or parties. In certain religions, the brides wear white color during wedding. In certain communities, women who are married are not supposed to wear white at all. Like in my community, my religion, women don't wear whites. It is not considered auspicious. On festivals, we avoid wearing whites. Yeah. So colors convey a lot of meaning. Look at these different letters, different pictures and diagrams and logos. They all convey certain messages. Okay, speech. So there is something which is related to speech, and that too is non-verbal. Did I say verbal, oral, spoken from mouth? But there is something that is non-verbal and that is coming out of someone's mouth. How? There's something called paralanguage, there's something else called prosthetic. And there's more to it. I'll explain that to you. What is paralanguage? Paralanguage is something that goes along with language. So when you're speaking, everything that goes along with the spoken words is paralanguage. Your voice quality, the quality of your voice, how sweetly you're speaking, how arrogantly you're speaking, how depressing way you're speaking, how angrily you're speaking, how harsh the voice is, how soft that voice is. Yeah, the quality of voice, the pitch at which you're speaking. Are you speaking at a higher pitch or you're speaking at a lower pitch? Pitch. We call it sur here in India. So everybody who watches television and you watch reality shows, or maybe if any of us who learn music would understand what pitch is. Yeah, pitch, sur. There are 7 sur or pitch. Yeah. So when you're angry, you speak at a higher pitch. What are you doing? What is this? High pitch. And when you're cool, you're patient, you're at peace, you will speak in at a lower pitch. Oh, what a pleasant weather. Oh, I love that. Lower pitch. Yeah. When you are at a distance with somebody, two people are standing at a distance, or they're far away from each other, they will usually use a higher pitch. So even when on a mobile or a phone, people are speaking at a higher pitch. Yeah, hello, how are you? You know the mobile is conveying the message. You don't need to speak at a higher pitch, but then it automatically happens. This is how our brain functions. And somebody who's sitting next to you, you will automatically speak at a lower pitch. Yeah, hi, how are you? Yeah. And very interestingly, to add to it, you know what? People who are close to you, not physically, but emotionally, then also you speak at a lower pitch. And people who are away from you, you speak at a higher pitch. How? If you love someone, how would you speak? Have you seen any of your friends speaking to their loved ones on phones? Yeah, hello. Yeah, how are you? Oh, I'm good. Low pitch, automatically. And if you're angry with somebody, there is a gap, you know, being built because of this anger, because of this hatred. And this gap creates a distance, an emotional distance. Your pitch automatically goes up. You just shut up. I don't want to hear. Even if that person is sitting just next to you, you shout. The pitch changes. How important pitch is, yeah? The rate at which you speak, fast or slow. So when you're excited, you automatically start speaking very fast. Yeah, we won the match. Yeah. Yeah. हम बहुत जल्दी जल्दी बोलते हैं जब हम बहुत एक्साइटेड होते हैं तो. और जब हम डल होते हैं, सैड होते हैं, when we are sad, we are gloomy, we're not happy, we speak at a lower pitch and at a lower rate. Oh, we have lost. Oh, I could not do good in maths. Rate. Volume. Again, excitement mein volume is high. Tension mein volume is high. Anger mein volume is high. But when it comes to pleasing things, when it comes to emotional, mushy things, or when somebody is close to you, the volume is automatically low. Even in songs, you can see the difference. All the songs which are romantic by nature, they will be soft. The songs of valor. Now it is the patriotic season these days, right? So all those songs which are of high energy, maybe songs related to battle and soldiers, they will be at a higher pitch. कंधों से मिलते हैं कंधे, कदमों से कदम मिलते हैं. Yeah, but the songs which are mushy in nature, they'll be softer. Huh? Tell me a soft song. Kesaria. Yeah, volume changes and the style changes. Of course, we know that. Para language is this. Prosodic. So rhythm. What is rhythm? When I am speaking, there is a regular flow of words. The gap between two words, the way I breathe, right, is rhythm. Punctuations. Where am I taking pause? Where am I stressing the words? Where am I bringing my tone down? These are all punctuations. Yeah. Intonation, the tone of our voice, which expresses your emotions, your mental state. Intonation. Oh. Ooh. Oh. Oh. So the same O being done in so many ways, the intonation. And stress. What are you laying your stress upon? Yeah. So these are all prosodics. Kinesics. Body's physical movements for the purpose of communication. Body language, the core body language, kinesics. In other words, we can understand it as the way our body communicates without words, using various movements of hands, facial expressions, eye contact, etc. Yeah, that is kinesics, body language. So, eye contact. We have mentioned eye contact here. Yes, this over here, eye contact. Amitabh Bachchan, the marvelous actor. Oh my God, you should watch his movies. Yeah. So verbal messages 10 to 11 minutes a day. Ray Bird's-Whistle did a study, and he said, if you measure the precise time, how much do we speak in a day? So obviously we'll have to omit people like me who are into professions of speaking, teaching, and radio, and maybe lawyers. These people speak a lot, obviously, but the people who are normal otherwise, they would speak 10 to 11 minutes a day on an average. In totality, 10 to 11 minutes a day. But body language, we make and recognize over 250,000 facial expressions. Yeah, body language. Now, body language has a lot of parts. Lot of parts. One of them is posture. The way you sit, the way you stand, the way you walk. Postures. The short form of postures is pose. How you pose. Yeah, postures. This lady over here, I'm sure you recognize her. She is Sushmita Sen, and the way she sits, the way she walks, is almost perfect. Now, what should not be done in good postures, in good body language? You should not slouch. What does slouch mean? I will explain it through pictures. What is the right posture? You should stand as if you're a tower. Stand tall. Put your weight on both the legs. Divide your weight on both the legs. Don't lean over one leg. Legs should be slightly apart. Obviously, depending on the time, place, situation. Jaw thrust. Your neck should be straight. Your spine should be straight. Shoulders should be straight. Arms are crossed over here in this picture. Very poised, soft, yet confident posture. Yeah? Postures. Now here you can see what is slouching. First picture shows slouching. The third picture shows, you know, leaning backwards. While the picture in the center shows the right posture. Now, how do you maintain the right posture? How do you learn the right posture? Either you stand beside a wall with your back towards the wall, touch the wall, your heels should touch the wall, your bottoms should touch the wall, and your shoulders should touch the wall along with your head. That's the right posture. Or imagine you were a puppet and there is a thread going right through the center of your head, through your neck, through your torso, and then divided into two legs across. You become a puppet. And now if there is somebody who would pull the thread from upside, the way you will stand tall is how you should keep your posture. That's the right posture, good posture. So we have learned about eye movements and postures, and then we now move on to gestures. Again, there is a famous song in Hindi, Isharon ko agar samjho. So let that be. Now, gestures are expressions. There are various kinds. Speech-based gestures, culture-based gestures, and body parts gestures based on body parts. We'll rush through these gestures also very quickly. There are speech-based gestures. Look at this. Sorry. Look at this picture over here. Now, along with speaking, there are certain gestures on his face. You can understand that this man is angry with that woman. Yes, gestures. So, along with the speech, the gestures are conveying a message. And there are gestures which are speech independent. So both of these people are not speaking, but then Shoaib Akhtar and Shah Rukh Khan, the way they are holding each other, the way these gestures tell there is a warm relationship between the two. They're sharing a good bond. They're having a good time together. Yeah? Gestures. Now, this is again a very famous incident that took place. So the two stars were not in talking terms with each other, and the third person who's in a Jodhpuri suit over here, he had called for a party, and there he made them hug each other. So they broke the ice. But then look at the picture, the second picture. Do the gestures say so? This confrontation or this compromise looks very unaccepted, looks very forced as per their facial expressions, the gestures, without speech. Look at these people. They're waiting for an interview, all of them, at the same place, and they're conveying different ideas. Somebody is bored, somebody is lost in his or her thought, somebody is depressed, somebody is worried, somebody is not even interested. Yeah, look at the other picture at the bottom. There is this lady sitting over here, shows confidence, shows interest, shows preparedness, shows brightness. All this is because of postures and body language. Yeah. Facial expressions. What are facial expressions? Wink, smile, frown. Frown is eyebrows up and down, frowning. Tongue bites, shaking your head. Remember, I told you about 250,000 expressions that we can recognize and express. Madhuri Dixit is one of my childhood favorites, and I've always loved her. So I've used her pictures over here. Look at her expressions in different situations. It's very expressive. Yeah, again a case study through pictures. Eye contact. This is one of my shows where Mr. Shah Rukh Khan is there and I am sharing stage with him. Now, when two people look at each other, the length of their gaze also expresses a lot. If two people are looking into eye to eye, looking into each other's eyes for a long time without blinking, it could mean they are angry with each other, they're challenging each other. If they are looking into each other lost, it could mean they are in love with each other. And length of gaze could even be some sort of message being conveyed. Frequency of glances. If somebody is in a party and looking at somebody else again and again, look here and there and again looking at that person. Oh, you're interested. Pattern of fixation. How long you're looking at that person. How are you staring at that person? All that conveys a lot. I'm sure girls in our group over here would understand this better. Girls, God has given them a sixth sense, and they know how people are looking at them. Yeah. Clothes, how you dress up, your personality, your background, your financial status, what kind of profession you come from, your culture, your mood, everything is being reflected by clothes. A case study. Sonam Kapoor is considered to be good at sense of dressing. So here, one of those events in Cannes where she wore this gown, she looks confident. She looks, her interests are being reflected here. Her age is being reflected that she's a young girl. This is an old picture. A recent thing. It is an old picture. The authority, the values, the sexual identity, everything is revealed through clothes. Look at this. So this here, she very, very boldly is saying that she's an Indian and very fashionable. So it is 8:30 already. I think we'll stop here for today, and when we come back tomorrow, we'll pick up from here only. Would that be okay?
Sir.
Yeah.
Yes, fine.
Okay. So, any questions, anything that you want to ask, or anything that you want to add, or any feedback that you want to share? Was it helpful? Was it boring? Was it, or you want me to change something in my communication tomorrow? Anybody? Yes or no? Was it okay? Should we do it the same way tomorrow also?
Yes,
Yes,
sir,
sir.
please.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, sure,
Okay.
sir.
Yes, sir.
And I believe there are no questions. I don't see any hands being raised and any messages. So we'll stop here. I'll catch you tomorrow evening at 6:30. Same Google Meet. And you people are a smart lot here. I mean, the kind of responses I was getting, I love you all. Thank you so much for being with me. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, take care. Good night. Bye bye.
Good night, sir. Good night.
Night, sir.